Welcome to day 55 of our school year. All right. So our beginning fraction, we have a total of 180 school days, and we're on day 55. Let's find the factors of our numerator, which is 55. Two factors we always know are 1 and the number itself. And then using the commutative property of multiplication, 55 times 1. Now we're going to go in order of our numbers so we don't miss any, and we're going to use our divisibility rules to find the other factors. So after 1 we try 2. The rule for 2 is that it ends in an even number. 5 is odd, so that means 2 is not a factor. And if 2 is not a factor, no even number will work. So I just need to check odd numbers. Our next odd number, the rule for 3 is that we add the digits together. 5 plus 5 is 10. 10 is not a multiple of 3, so 3 is not a factor. Next we try 5. The rule for 5 is that it ends in a 0 or 5. It does end in a 5, so 5 is a factor. 5 times 11, 11 times 5. We try 7, 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56. 55 is not in that list, so 7 is not a factor. We try 9. 9 has the same rule as 3. We add the digits together, we get 10. 10 is not a multiple of 9, so 9 is not a factor. Then we get to 11. And we're done. We already have 11 down. Also 11 is prime. When we go in order and our second factor is prime, we know that we're done. So let's go ahead and list our factors from least to greatest. 1, 5, 11, 55. We have 4 factors. That is more than 2 factors, so it is composite. Now we want to find our greatest common factor. So let's start with our greatest factor of 55 and see if that works. Make sure your shaded is separated from your unshaded and that there's 55 in each group. So it looks like I have a remainder of 15. So 55 did not work. So let's try 11. Okay, make sure you keep your shaded separated from your unshaded. Make sure there's 11 in each group. So I'm just using decomposition here. 5 plus 6 is 11. 4 plus 7 is 11. 3 plus 8 is 11. 2 plus 9 is 11. It ends up making kind of a zigzag pattern too when you follow that. 10 plus 1 is 11. 9 plus 2 is 11. 8 plus 3 is 11. 7 plus 4 is 11. 6 plus 5 is 11. And 5 plus 6 is 11. And I have 4 left over. So 11 did not work. All right. So 55 didn't, 11 didn't. Let's do groups of 5. So let's make groups of 5. If I cut 10 in half, that gives me 2 groups of 5 per row. Make sure you keep your shaded separated from your unshaded. Five worked. I have no remainder, so 5 is our greatest common factor. Let's go ahead and count up our groups of 5. The way I did it, I ended up with 2 groups of 5 in each row, so I can count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36. I have 36 total groups. And I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 shaded in. Okay, now that we've done our division with our model, let's go ahead and use our algorithm. We're going to divide by our greatest common factor of 5. And we did both the unshaded and the shaded into groups of 5, so we have the same number every time. Let's see, 20 nickels is $1, so 5 times 20 is 100. Numbers the same, zeros the game, more on top, no need to stop. Numbers the same, zeros the game. Then I could do 10 times 5 is 50. Numbers the same, zeros the game, more on top, no need to stop. And then 6 times 5 is 30. Numbers the same, zeros the game. Add these partial quotients together. 20 plus 10 is 30, plus 6 is 36. Okay, over here, 10 times 5 is 50. More on top, no need to stop. Numbers the same, zeros the game. 1 times 5 is 5. Numbers the same, zeros the game. 10 plus 1 is 11. Now you may have already noticed that 11 times 5 would have given you 55. And if you did that, great. That is one thing that you definitely could have done. Just like you may have seen that 30 times 5 is 150. That works too. Just I want to show you that there's different ways to get to that same right answer. If you had a different way, it can work. Just make sure you're using numbers you actually do know to get there. We do need to check both. Divisor times quotient plus remainder. Divisor times quotient plus remainder. But since our remainder is 0 for both, and the identity property says when you add 0, the identity property of addition says when you add 0, it stays the same. We don't need to actually add 0. 5 times 6 is 30. So I have 3 tens. 5 groups of 3 tens is 150, or 15 tens, plus 3 more tens is 18 tens, or 180. 5 groups of 1 is 5. 5 groups of 10 is 50. 55, that matches our dividend up here, so it checks. 180, that matches our dividend up here, so it checks. So my numerator is definitely 11. Denominator is definitely 36. All right, now let's go ahead and fill in our data collection page. Okay, trimester 1, week 12. Today is 10/25/19. And our fraction for today is 11/36. So let's get out our number line. We did groups of 5. Okay, so last one we have is 7/36. So 8/36. Well, that's equivalent to 10/45, 20/90, 4/18, and 2/9 is the simplest form for that one. 9/36. That's equivalent to 15/60. And 1/4. That's its simplest form. Okay, then we have 10/36. Well, that is equivalent to 5/18. That's our simplest form, or our equivalent fraction in lowest terms. And then today is 11/36. There are no lines lined up below it. Just have the one above it. So that's our equivalent fraction in lowest terms, or simplest form. Let's go ahead and put your number line away, erase your worksheet, and thank you for joining me.